There were a lot of A Song of Ice and Fire characters cut during the making of Game of Thrones, but none of them, and I mean none of them, are cringier than Darkstar, Gerald Dane, the cringiest character cut from the Game of Thrones TV show. Gerald Dane, otherwise known as Darkstar, is an anomaly in the A Song of Ice and Fire community, because he's a character that George R.R. Martin intended to be a really cool, really badass character. He has a badass nickname, he has really cool hair that's gray and silver, he's described as being incredibly handsome, he's described as being an incredibly good fighter, incredibly charismatic, and he says really cool lines such as, "If I led 250,000 men to death, would they call me Gerald the Great? I shall remain Darkstar, I think. At least is mine own. I was weaned on venom. Dalt, any viper takes a bite of me, will rue it. Marcella asks, are you the sword of the morning now? Men call me Darkstar, and I am of the night." And people seem to think he's really cool, except he comes off incredibly cringy. George R. R. Martin has gone on record saying that this wasn't intentional. He wasn't trying to make a gag character or trying to make a funny character. He was being genuine. He was trying to make him really cool, and it absolutely failed. Now, Darkstar's role in the story is quite an interesting one. Darkstar first appears in A Feast for Crows, and I would put a lot of money on the fact that prior to A Feast for Crows, he wasn't a character that George R. R. Martin had created, or at least had a proper role in the story for, because he only pops up for one chapter, does something ridiculous, and then fucks off. To explain this, the first thing we have to establish is that the Dornish plot in A Song of Ice and Fire is way more prevalent and important in the books than it is in the TV show. In the TV show, Doran Martell and everything going on with Dorne is just really shitty, feels like an absolute afterthought, and no one really cares about it, if we're being quite honest, including the showrunners. In the Song of Ice and Fire books, though, the Dornish plotline is really interesting. Doran Martell is still alive and a much more interesting character, and he has a daughter named Arianne. Arianne has this really interesting plan of crowning Marcella Baratheon queen, that way she can launch a coup and fight the Lannisters in order to avenge Elia and Oberyn Martell. And Darkstar is introduced in this plan. She is a man that Arianne has a crush on, she describes him as being incredibly handsome, and he is like a key protector, key fighter for this little group that she gets together to launch a coup and eventually crown Marcella and fight the Lannisters. But unfortunately, Doran Martell is one step ahead of her. He hears news of this coup and is able to intercept them before they can make any real difference. And then when a battle begins, there is chaos, people screaming, a lot of shit's going on. Darkstar just randomly cuts Marcella Baratheon's face open. He just takes his sword and slices her ear off and messes up part of her face. He has flipped sides, but I'm not really sure what side he has flipped to, and we haven't had any confirmation of why he did this. There's a theory presented by Quinn the GM that I would recommend you checking out alongside his Darkstar video, where he explains that maybe Darkstar is working for Doran Martell behind the scenes, but that really wouldn't make sense. At the same time, I don't know why Darkstar would slice open her face. What is his plan? Why did he do this? We don't really know because we haven't gotten the Winds of Winter. And then he just kind of runs away, and no one can catch him. So essentially, he's introduced for one chapter. He says a bunch of really cringy lines that George R. R. Martin thought would sound really cool. He's described as looking cool, but no one really takes him seriously. He then slices open the face of an unarmed girl, and that's his biggest feat and biggest moment of the entire story, then runs away, never to be seen again, at least for now. Yeah, D&D cut a lot of characters from Game of Thrones, and most of the characters cut were bad decisions overall. But I'm not gonna lie to you, if there was any character to cut, this would be my pick, because he's just incredibly cringy, his purpose in the story doesn't really seem very clear, and I just don't like him. He's just really cringe, honestly. With all that being said, this is where I'm going to be ending the analysis per se of the character of Darkstar, and just talking about the future of this channel, because I have some updates on what's going to be going on over the next couple of months. First things first, I have been talking about a very long Jon Snow video that I want to post eventually. This video is going to be all-encompassing. I am going to go over every single chapter in every single book. I'm going to read them and then break them down, analyze them, and just try and put together the best Jon Snow video on this app. But aside from just doing a chapter-by-chapter breakdown, I also just want to do a more general analysis of the character overall once I've gotten through all of the chapters. For this all-encompassing final part of this breakdown, I want to go over where I think the character will be going in the Winds of Winter, what kind of conclusion I'd like him to have, and just generally what I think about the character in relation to the real world and what he means to me on a personal level. I have absolutely no idea how long this video is going to take, but I have an idea. I'm going to be splitting this video up into probably 5 different parts. Parts 1 through 4 are going to be books 1 through 4. I'm not sure how long they're going to be, but I would guess that they're all going to be pretty long just on their own. I'm going to be releasing those individually as I get through them, and then the 5th and final part is going to be the future of Jon Snow in the Winds of Winter into a Dream of Spring, what I would like for his ending, and what I think about the character overall. I will release all of those as they come out, and I'm actually about to start the first part of the first video. Like, literally, once I'm done recording this, I'm going to read Jon 1, A Game of Thrones, and begin. The last thing I will say about this Jon Snow video is I am looking for A Song of Ice and Fire artists to help me create some sort of imagery for the videos, whether it be thumbnails, elements that I will implement into the videos themselves, certain scenes, and I am more than willing to pay. So if you are a talented artist, if you know anyone who is talented who does work on A Song of Ice and Fire, please feel free to join my Discord server and at me in the server, add a mod, and they will get me connected to you, and we can definitely work something out. And then, in the more short term, we have A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms coming out next month. It just became December 1st right now, and I am unbelievably excited. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is, without a doubt, one of my favorite George R. R. Martin products, and I am going to be doing full-blown breakdowns on every single thing related to A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I'm talking daily videos about every single episode, analyzing characters and just in the TV show themselves, and analyzing their book counterparts, going over, like, scene by scene, literally every single frame, talking about the TV show as it airs. I am so unbelievably excited, so be ready for that. And then rolling into House of the Dragon Season 3, it's going to be the same exact thing. I'm planning on rereading Fire and Blood before House of the Dragon Season 3, that way I am more locked in for that season. But as for the channel, that is kind of all I got. I'm going to be doing my best to continue with the daily uploads, but if they are a little more infrequent, just bear with me. It is currently final season, and I'm going to be putting literally everything I have into this Jon Snow video. So if I don't post every single day, I promise it will still be most of the days, but do not think I am burning out or that I'm not working hard, because believe me, I'm about to be working harder than ever. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my Patreons. Thank you to the people that are always supporting me, and I really hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.